had suffered heavy losses and victory still wasn't in sight. So he turned to his defense minister, General Vo Nguyen Giap, for a solution. The plan Giap came up with was a huge gamble. The North Vietnamese army and their Viet Cong allies would come out in the open and fight in larger numbers than ever before. The aim? To smash the South Vietnamese government and drive the Americans out once and for all. By December 1967, American intelligence knew that something big was brewing. They received reports of significant activity on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and then of a striking build-up of North Vietnamese troops near the American base of Khe Sanh, just south of the border. The communist enemy had suddenly become very visible. Over in Washington, the American President Lyndon Johnson and his advisors listened to the news with great interest. It seemed that at long last President Johnson was to get the pitched battle he'd been waiting for. And the battlefield was to be Khe Sanh. The American base of Khe Sanh was situated in an isolated, hilly corner of South Vietnam, just a few miles from the border with Laos. There's nothing left of the base today, but in January 1968, this base was home to thousands of American and South Vietnamese troops. Khe Sanh is the westernmost American stronghold near the demilitarized zone, and has been built to stop enemy infiltration from the north and disrupt supplies on the Ho Chi Minh Trail along here. Here is Khe Sanh, and this is how it was laid out. Over 6,000 Marines and South Vietnamese troops were housed in one heavily fortified combat base, built around an airstrip. Surrounding the combat base were hills, fortified with bunkers, dugouts and gun emplacements. By mid-January 1968, two whole North Vietnamese divisions, supported by elements of another division, some 20,000 men in all, had gathered in the hills around Khe Sanh.
In the early hours of January the 21st, North Vietnamese troops attacked an American-held hill just northwest of the base. Then, a few hours later, they launched a major attack on the very heart of the Khe Sanh combat base itself, right here. As the NVA consolidated their positions around the base, the Marines fought back ferociously, but they were surrounded. The NVA had managed to cut off their road link to the outside world. Now, the only way in and out of Khe Sanh was by air.
While the Marines fought hard to stop the North Vietnamese overrunning the vital high ground near the base, General Westmoreland directed more than 24,000 airstrikes against the attackers. He called it Operation Niagara. American aircraft dropped almost 100,000 tons of bombs during the siege. It was an operation that cost $1 billion.
Life for the besieged Marines quickly became a horrific ordeal. The base was shelled constantly. On average, 360 North Vietnamese rounds landed inside the perimeter each day. On the heaviest day of bombardment, 1,300 shells hit US positions.
Back in Washington, President Johnson was deeply worried. To him, Khe Sanh had become the symbol of America's determination to hold the line in Southeast Asia against communism. He could not afford to let it fall. America's best units and one half of the US Army's mobile reserve in Vietnam were moved up north into the area. As the battle ground on, Johnson threw even more air power into the fight. At Khe Sanh, the Americans dropped around 5 tons of bombs for every one North Vietnamese soldier. Johnson was determined to win. He was convinced that defeat at Khe Sanh would be an unacceptable blow to American prestige. But what the Americans and South Vietnamese were about to discover was that when General Giap and Ho Chi Minh came up with their plan, Khe Sanh was not their main target.